Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Personal Growth Talks podcast. I'm Jason, your host.
And I'm Julia, your co-host. We're so glad you're here with us today.
Today, we're talking about something that holds so many people back: overthinking. You know, that endless loop in your head where you keep analyzing, doubting, and delaying, until you end up doing nothing at all.
Yes, we've all been there. You have a great idea or you want to start something important, but your mind keeps going in circles. What if it doesn't work? What if I fail? And then, boom, another day goes by and nothing happens.
Exactly. That's why today's episode is called Stop Overthinking, Start Executing. Because the truth is, thinking is useful, but doing is what really changes your life.
In the next 40 minutes, we're going to help you understand why we overthink, how it blocks our progress, and most importantly, how to break free from it and take action.
Whether you're starting a project, learning a new skill, or just trying to make a decision, this episode is for you. So grab a notebook, or just relax and listen, because it's time to shift from thinking mode to doing mode.
Let's get started.
So, Julia, let's start with the basics. What exactly is overthinking?
Good question. Overthinking is when you think too much about something, especially in a way that's not helpful. Instead of making a decision or taking action, you just keep analyzing, questioning, and second-guessing everything.
Right. It's like your brain becomes a hamster wheel. You're thinking, 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 but going nowhere.
Exactly. And the worst part? Overthinking feels like you're being productive, but you're really just stuck. You replay past mistakes or worry too much about the future.
Let's give an example. Imagine someone wants to start a YouTube channel. Instead of just starting with one video, they think, what if no one watches it? What if I mess up? What camera should I buy? What if I look silly?
And by the time they finish overthinking all of that, they've talked themselves out of even trying.
Yep. Overthinking kills action. It creates fear, confusion, and hesitation.
And let's be real. Some thinking is good. Planning, reflecting, preparing, that's important. But overthinking crosses the line when it stops you from moving forward.
Well said. It's like using your brain as a brake instead of a steering wheel. You're not moving. You're just stuck with the engine running.
I love that image. So, if you're someone who constantly replays what you said in a conversation, or spends hours deciding something simple, like what to wear or whether to send an email, you might be overthinking.
And it's more common than people think. Even confident people can fall into this trap. The key is to recognize when your thoughts are helping and when they're hurting.
That's what we're going to explore in the next part, why we overthink and how we can begin to let go of it.
Stick with us. This is just getting started. All right, so now that we know what overthinking is, let's talk about why we do it. Julia, what do you think causes people to overthink so much?
Well, one big reason is fear. Fear of making a mistake, fear of failure, even fear of success sometimes.
That's true. We often overthink because we want to avoid pain. We don't want to fail, look stupid, or disappoint others. So instead of acting, we just think, and think, and think.
Right, and sometimes people are afraid of making the wrong decision. They want to be perfect, so they keep researching, asking for advice, and overanalyzing every little thing.
Perfectionism is a huge part of it. A lot of people believe there's only one right time or perfect way to do something. But guess what? That perfect moment never comes.
Exactly. Another reason we overthink is because of past experiences. Maybe someone made a mistake before and now they don't trust themselves.
Yes. Let's say someone gave a bad presentation once. Now, every time they speak in public, they think, What if I mess up again? So they spend hours writing and rewriting, and they still feel scared.
That kind of thinking becomes a habit. It's like the brain is trying to protect us, but ends up holding us back.
Here's another one: social pressure. In today's world, people are afraid of being judged, especially online. We think, what will people say? What if they laugh at me?
Social media makes it worse. We compare ourselves to others, and that creates more doubt. She's doing better than me, or he's already successful. Why even try?
So true. But the truth is, everyone feels uncertain sometimes. The people who succeed are not the ones who never overthink. They're the ones who act anyway.
Yes, it's okay to feel nervous. It's okay to not have everything figured out, but we need to take that first step anyway.
So if you're listening right now and wondering why you overthink, just know this: it's natural. But you don't have to stay stuck there.
In the next part, we'll talk about what happens when overthinking becomes a habit and how it can stop us from executing and creating the life we want.
Stay with us, friends. We're getting closer to action. All right, Julia. So now let's talk about how overthinking actually stops people from taking action. What's going on in our minds when this happens?
Well, when you overthink, you spend so much time planning, doubting, and revising that you never actually start. It's like standing at the edge of the pool for hours, thinking about the water temperature instead of just jumping in.
Haha, that's a great image. You feel busy, like you're doing something useful. But the truth is, nothing is getting done. You're just spinning your wheels.
Exactly, and over time that habit creates a kind of mental block. Your brain starts to believe that action is risky, so it keeps pulling you back into the safe zone of thinking.
Let me give a simple example. Imagine someone wants to apply for a new job. They open the application form, then close it. I'll do it later. They think about their resume, their lack of experience, what to write in the email. Days go by, and they never apply.
Yes, that's how opportunities are lost. Not because people aren't smart or talented, but because they're stuck in their head.
Another big problem? Overthinking leads to procrastination. You delay the task, thinking you'll do it when you're more ready, but that day never comes.
And sometimes by the time you make a decision, it's too late. The moment is gone. The idea fades away, and you're left with regret.
That's why we say, execution beats perfection. An imperfect action is still better than a perfect idea that stays in your head.
Yes, you learn more by doing than by thinking. Every time you take action, you build confidence and gain experience.
So the next time you catch yourself overthinking, ask yourself, am I moving forward or just hiding behind my thoughts?
Coming up next, we'll show you how to recognize the signs that you're overthinking so you can catch it early and make a shift.
Let's break the pattern, one small step at a time.
So now let's talk about how to spot overthinking. What are the signs that you're stuck in your head and not taking action?
One clear sign is indecision. If you take too long to make even small choices, like what to wear, what to eat, or when to reply to a message, you might be overthinking.
That's true. Another big sign is replaying the past in your mind. You keep thinking about something you said or did, and you keep wondering, did I say the wrong thing? Did I make a mistake?
Yes, or the opposite, worrying too much about the future. You ask yourself endless what-if questions. What if I fail? What if people don't like it? What if it goes wrong?
Another sign? You start and stop things many times. You plan, prepare, maybe even buy tools or courses, but you never finish. Your brain keeps searching for the perfect time to begin.
Or you feel mentally tired, but you haven't done anything. That's mental exhaustion from too much thinking and no action.
So true. And let's not forget procrastination. You delay things over and over because you're still thinking about it.
If any of these sound familiar to you, don't worry. You're not alone. Many people struggle with this. The first step is awareness.
Yes, once you recognize the signs, you can start to change the habit. And we're going to help you do just that, starting with a fun comparison in the next part: the overthinker versus the doer.
Don't miss this one. It really brings everything to life. All right, friends, let's bring this topic to life with a real-life example. We're going to show you the difference between someone who overthinks and someone who just does it.
Yes, we'll do a quick role play. Jason, you'll be the overthinker, I'll be the doer.
Oh, I was born ready to overthink. All right, here we go. Scene 1. Starting a YouTube channel. Okay, I want to start a YouTube channel. But wait, do I need a new camera? What about the lighting? What if people laugh at my accent? What if I sound boring? Should I wait until next month? Maybe I need a logo first. Or a better mic.
Hi everyone, this is my first YouTube video. It's not perfect, but I'm excited to share what I've learned. Let's get started. See the difference? One is stuck in endless questions. The other just takes a deep breath and starts.
Yeah, that hurt a little. Because it's true. I've been the overthinker many times.
We all have. Let's do another one. Scene 2. Applying for a job.
Oh no, there's a job opening. But do I even qualify? What if they reject me? My resume isn't perfect. Maybe I need to take another course first. I'll work on it later.
I might not be perfect, but I'm going to apply. I'll update my resume quickly, write a short email, and send it today. Done.
Oof! Again, the doer gets ahead, even if they're not 100% ready.
Exactly. The doer knows they can learn along the way, but the overthinker waits for the perfect moment, which never comes.
Let's do one more. Something we all deal with. Asking someone for help. Scene 3. Asking for help. I want to ask my friend to help me with my project, but what if she's busy? What if she thinks I'm lazy? What if she says no? Maybe I'll just try to do it alone.
Hey, I'm working on something and could really use your help. Would you have time this week? See how quick and clear that was? Doers don't overthink what might happen. They ask, take action, and move on.
And even if the answer is no, at least they know. They're not stuck wondering forever.
Exactly. Overthinking makes small things feel huge. Doing turns those small things into progress.
So here's a question for our listeners. In your own life, are you acting like the overthinker or the doer?
Coming up next, we'll share practical steps on how to shift from overthinking to action. You won't want to miss it.
Let's break this habit together. So, now that we've seen how overthinking slows us down, the big question is, how do we break the cycle? How do we move from thinking to doing?
Good news. It's possible, and it doesn't have to be complicated. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to take one small step forward.
Yes, let's start with this idea. Progress, not perfection. If you wait for the perfect time, you'll be waiting forever. Instead, ask yourself, what small action can I take today?
For example, if you want to start writing a book, don't try to plan the whole thing. Just write one paragraph today. One paragraph is a start.
Exactly. Small steps lead to big progress. Another tip: set a short time limit. Tell yourself, I'll work on this for just 10 minutes. No pressure, no big goal. Just 10 minutes.
That trick really works. It takes away the fear and helps you start, and often once you begin, you keep going.
Here's another one. Stop asking what if and start asking what now. What if I fail? Becomes, what can I do now to get started?
I love that. And if your brain keeps spinning, try this. Write your thoughts down, get all the doubts out of your head and onto paper. Once you see them, they lose their power.
Yes, journaling is powerful. It helps you move from emotion to action.
Also, set a deadline. Give yourself a clear time to finish, even if it's something small, like I will publish my first blog post by Friday. Boom. You've created a goal.
And lastly, don't do it alone. Find a friend, a coach, or even a community who supports action. Talk to someone. Say, "Hey, I'm doing this thing. Can you check on me next week?"
That little bit of accountability makes a huge difference. We're more likely to take action when someone is watching or cheering us on.
So, just to review, start small, set a timer, change what if to what now. Write your thoughts down, set a deadline, find support.
These simple tools can turn your thinking into action, one day at a time.
Coming up next, we'll talk about some practical tools and techniques to help you stay in action mode, even when your brain wants to go back to overthinking.
Let's keep the momentum going.
All right, now let's get even more practical. We've talked about mindset and small steps, but let's share some actual tools and techniques that help you start executing.
Yes, these tools are simple but powerful. Let's start with one of my favorites, the 5-second rule by Mel Robbins. It's so easy. When you feel the urge to act, count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go, and then move. Don't give your brain time to overthink.
That's a great one. It's like a rocket launch for your brain. Another tool is the Pomodoro technique. You work for 25 minutes, then take a 5-minute break. This keeps your mind focused and your tasks manageable.
Yes, and you can use a simple timer or one of many Commodore apps. It really helps people who get overwhelmed by big tasks.
Here's one more. Time blocking. Instead of just making a to-do list, you schedule time for the task. For example, from 10 to 10:30, I'm writing. No thinking, just doing.
Love that. And what about brain dumping? This one is great for overthinkers. You take 5 minutes to write everything that's in your head. No filter. Just get it all out.
Yes, that clears up mental space. You stop juggling thoughts in your mind, and suddenly you can breathe and focus.
Another helpful one, accountability partners. Find a friend or group to check in with you. Tell them what you're going to do, and let them ask you later if you did it.
It really works. Even just sending a message like, "I'm going to clean my room at 3 p.m., makes you more likely to do it.
So let's recap. 5-second rule Commodore timer. Time blocking brain dump accountability partner.
Use one or two of these, and you'll notice a big shift. They take you out of your head and into the real world of action.
Coming up next, we'll talk about how to build a mindset that stays focused on action, even when fear or doubt tries to pull you back.
Let's go from thinking to doing to becoming the person you want to be.
Okay, so we've talked about tools and techniques, but let's not forget one of the most important parts of execution, your mindset.
Yes, if your mind isn't in the right place, even the best tools won't work. So let's talk about some mindset shifts that help you take consistent action.
Here's a big one. Done is better than perfect. So many people don't start because they want things to be flawless. But the truth is, progress comes from doing, not perfecting.
Yes, think of your first steps like a draft version. It doesn't have to be amazing, it just has to exist. You can always improve later.
Another great mindset tip. Failure is feedback. Don't fear failure. Every mistake teaches you something. Every time you try, you grow stronger.
Right. Success isn't one big step. It's many small, imperfect steps over time. If something doesn't work, learn from it and keep going.
Also, remind yourself I don't need motivation, I need movement. Sometimes we wait to feel ready, but feelings come after action.
Exactly. When you take action, even a small one, you build momentum, and that creates motivation.
And finally, one more powerful thought: I can figure it out. You don't need all the answers. Just believe that you can learn along the way.
That belief changes everything. It replaces fear with curiosity, doubt with courage.
So keep these thoughts close. Done is better than perfect. Failure is feedback. Movement creates motivation. I can figure it out.
Coming up next, we'll challenge our listeners to take one small step today. It's time to stop overthinking and start doing. All right, friends, it's time for our listener challenge. We want you to take one small step today, no matter how tiny, to break free from overthinking.
Yes, it could be anything. Maybe send that email you've been avoiding, or write the first sentence of your story, or just take 5 minutes to brainstorm ideas without judging them.
Remember, the goal isn't perfection, it's action. Even one small step moves you forward.
Here's a tip: set a timer for 5 or 10 minutes. Use that time to focus only on your challenge. No distractions, no overthinking, just doing.
And after you finish, give yourself credit. Celebrate your progress because you're building new habits.
We'd love to hear how it goes. If you want, share your small win with us on social media or in the comments.
So what's your step going to be? Don't wait for the perfect moment. Make today your day to start executing.
You've got this. Let's do it together.
Wow, what a journey today. Remember, overthinking is normal, but it doesn't have to hold you back.
Yes, the key is to take action, even if it's imperfect, even if you feel scared, because every step forward is progress.
So stop waiting. Stop doubting. Start doing. Your dreams and goals are waiting for you on the other side of action.
Thank you so much for listening. We believe in you, and we're cheering you on every step of the way.
If you enjoyed this episode, please like, subscribe, and share it with a friend who needs to hear this.
And don't forget to join us next time for more personal growth talks. Until then, keep moving forward.
Take care, everyone. Hello and welcome back to the English Learning Podcast. I'm Jason, your host, and joining me today is my co-host, Julia. Hey, Julia.
Hey, Jason. Hello, everyone. I'm so excited about today's episode because we're going to talk about something really important: how to stop sounding like a beginner when speaking English.
Yes, a lot of English learners struggle with this. They know the words, they understand the grammar, but when they speak, they still sound like beginners. Why is that?
Well, there are a few reasons. Things like flat intonation, hesitation, simple vocabulary, and even a lack of confidence. The good news is, you can fix all of these with the right techniques.
Absolutely. And today, we're going to break it all down step by step. We'll talk about pronunciation, vocabulary, confidence, and how to sound more natural when speaking English.
So, if you've ever felt like your English sounds too robotic or too basic, don't worry. By the end of this episode, you'll have practical tips that you can start using immediately to sound more like a fluent speaker.
That's right. So, grab a notebook, get comfortable, and let's dive into it. All right, Julia, let's start with the big question. Why do some English learners still sound like beginners, even when they know a lot of words and grammar?
That's a great question. I think the main reason is that many learners focus too much on correctness and not enough on natural speech patterns. They try to translate from their native language, which makes their English sound unnatural.
Yes, exactly. And another big reason is robotic speech. Some learners speak in a very flat, monotone way because they're afraid of making mistakes. But natural English has rhythm, stress, and intonation.
Right. Also, many learners hesitate a lot when they speak. They pause too much because they're thinking about grammar rules in their head. This makes their speech sound unnatural and slow.
That's a great point. And let's not forget about vocabulary. Many beginners repeat the same basic words like good, bad, happy, sad, instead of using richer, more natural alternatives.
Exactly. And one more thing. Many learners don't use linking words or contractions, so their speech sounds too stiff. For example, instead of saying I am going to, a native speaker would say I'm gonna.
Good example. Let's do a quick demonstration. I'll say a sentence in a beginner way, and you can say it in a natural way. Hello, how are you? I am very happy today.
Hey, how's it going? I'm really happy today.
See the difference? The second one sounds way more natural.
Yes, and that's exactly what we're going to teach you today. We'll help you fix pronunciation, vocabulary, and confidence so you can stop sounding like a beginner and start sounding like a fluent speaker.
Let's start with pronunciation and intonation. This is one of the biggest things that can make or break how natural your English sounds. Ready, Julia?
Let's do it, Jason!
Now, let's talk about one of the biggest reasons English learners sound like beginners: pronunciation and intonation.
Yes, pronunciation isn't just about saying words correctly. It's about making your speech sound smooth and natural. Many learners speak in a flat, robotic way, which makes them sound unnatural.
Exactly. In English, we have something called intonation, which is the rise and fall of our voice when we speak. It helps to express emotions and make speech more engaging.
Let's give an example. I'll say a sentence with flat intonation, and you say it in a natural way. Ready?
Sounds good. Go ahead.
I don't know where my phone is.
I don't know where my phone is.
See the difference? The second one sounds more natural, relaxed, and emotional. That's how native speakers talk.
That's right. And another thing that makes a huge difference is word stress. In English, some words are stressed more than others, and this gives rhythm to our sentences.
Let's do another example. I'll say a sentence without stress, and you say it with natural stress.
I didn't say she stole my money.
I didn't say she stole my money.
That's much better. By stressing different words, you can even change the meaning of a sentence.
Exactly. And another trick is linking words. Native speakers don't say each word separately. They connect them. For example, instead of saying, "What do you want?" a native speaker would say, "What do you want?"
Yes. And instead of going to, we say gonna. Instead of want to, we say wanna. These small changes make your English sound more natural and fluent.
So here's a quick exercise for our listeners. Try repeating after us. Jason, say the beginner version, and I'll say the natural version.
What do you want to do?
What do you want to do?
Great. Now let's try another one. I am going to call you later.
I'm gonna call you later.
See how much smoother and more natural that sounds?
Yes. So, if you want to sound fluent, start practicing these pronunciation tricks: intonation, word stress, and linking words.
And one of the best ways to improve pronunciation is shadowing. This means listening to a native speaker and repeating what they say exactly as they say it.
Yes, try shadowing podcasts, movies, or YouTube videos. Just copy the way native speakers talk.
All right. Now that we've covered pronunciation, let's talk about expanding vocabulary. Because using better words is another way to stop sounding like a beginner.
Let's do it, Jason.
Now that we've covered pronunciation and intonation, let's move on to another important area: vocabulary. Julia, why do you think vocabulary plays such a big role in how fluent someone sounds?
Great question, Jason. One of the biggest signs of a beginner speaker is using the same basic words all the time. For example, many learners always say good or bad instead of using richer vocabulary.
Exactly. Imagine if you only said good for everything. That's good. This movie is good. I had a good day. It sounds basic and repetitive.
Yes, but native speakers use a variety of words to express the same idea. Instead of good, you can say amazing, fantastic, incredible, excellent, awesome.
Let's do a quick exercise. I'll say a basic word, and you replace it with a more natural alternative. This food is very good.
This food is delicious.
I am very tired.
I'm exhausted. He is thrilled.
Awesome! See how much richer and more expressive that sounds?
Yes. And another trick to sound more fluent is using phrasal verbs. Native speakers love using them. Instead of saying continue, we say keep going. Instead of cancel, we say call off.
Good point. Let's try another quick exercise for our listeners. I'll say a formal word, and you replace it with a natural phrase. I need to cancel the meeting.
I need to call off the meeting.
She will arrive at 5 p.m.
She will show up at 5 p.m.
He recovered from his cold.
He got over his cold.
Perfect. Using phrasal verbs like this will make your English sound more natural and less robotic.
Yes. And finally, one more tip, use idioms and expressions. Instead of saying, I am very busy, a native speaker might say, I have a lot on my plate.
I love that. Or instead of saying, it's very easy, we say, it's a piece of cake.
Exactly. Learning idioms, phrasal verbs, and stronger vocabulary will instantly help you sound more fluent and less like a beginner.
So, to recap, stop repeating basic words, start using richer vocabulary, phrasal verbs, and idioms, and you'll sound much more fluent.
Now, let's talk about another key to fluency, building confidence in speaking.
All right, now let's talk about something that holds many English learners back. Confidence. Many people know a lot of vocabulary and grammar, but when it's time to speak, they hesitate or freeze.
That's so true, and hesitation makes you sound like a beginner. If you always say, I think maybe I don't know, before speaking, it makes your English sound weak.
Exactly. So, how can learners speak more confidently?
First, stop worrying about mistakes. A lot of learners hesitate because they're afraid of saying something wrong. But guess what? Even native speakers make mistakes.
That's right. If you focus too much on being perfect, you will always hesitate. Instead, focus on speaking naturally and keeping the conversation flowing.
Another tip is thinking in English. Many learners translate from their native language, which slows them down. But if you train yourself to think in English, you'll speak faster and with more confidence.
I love that. And one simple trick to stop hesitation is learning sentence starters. Instead of saying, try using natural phrases like, that's a great question. Well, I think, to be honest. In my opinion,
That's such a good tip. These phrases buy you time to think while keeping the conversation smooth.
exactly. And another thing, practice speaking out loud every day. The more you speak, the more confident you'll feel.
Yes, even if you don't have a speaking partner, you can practice by talking to yourself, recording your voice, or shadowing native speakers.
So, to sum up, stop worrying about mistakes. Think in English, use sentence starters, and practice speaking daily.
Now that we've covered confidence, let's move on to practicing English in real-life situations.
Now that we've talked about confidence, let's move on to something super important. Practicing real-life conversations. Julia, a lot of English learners study grammar and vocabulary, but when it comes to speaking in a real situation, they struggle. Why do you think that happens?
That's because learning English and using English are two different things. Many learners focus too much on textbooks and exercises, but they don't actually practice speaking in real situations.
Exactly. And the best way to stop sounding like a beginner is to practice English in real conversations. But what if someone doesn't have a speaking partner?
Great question. You can still practice. Here are a few ways. 1. Talk to yourself. Describe what you're doing or talk about your day. 2. Use shadowing. Listen to a native speaker and repeat exactly what they say. 3. Join online language communities. There are apps and websites where you can chat with English speakers.
I love those ideas. And another great way is to simulate real-life situations.
Oh, that's a good one. Can you give an example?
Sure. Let's say you want to get better at ordering food in English. You can pretend you're at a restaurant and practice ordering, "Hi, I'd like a cheeseburger with fries, please. Can I get a coffee with milk? How much is the total?"
That's a great exercise, and you can do this for any situation. Introducing yourself, asking for directions, making small talk.
Exactly! The key is to speak as much as possible. The more you practice, the more natural your English will sound.
So, to sum up, stop just studying English and start using English in real-life situations. Even if you don't have a partner, you can still practice alone.
That's right! And now, let's move on to our final section. Final tips to sound more natural in English. All right, we're almost at the end of today's podcast. We've covered so many great tips to stop sounding like a beginner. But before we go, let's share some final tips and encouragement for our listeners.
Yes. First, remember that fluency is a journey, not a destination. You won't sound like a native speaker overnight, but every small step counts.
That's such an important reminder. And here's another tip. Listen and imitate. Find a native speaker you like, whether it's from a podcast, a YouTube video, or a movie, and copy how they speak.
Yes, that's called shadowing, and it really helps improve your pronunciation, rhythm, and confidence.
Another key tip: don't be afraid to make mistakes. Many learners wait until they feel ready to speak. But the truth is, the only way to improve is to speak as much as possible.
Absolutely, and don't compare yourself to others. Focus on your own progress. If you're speaking more today than you did last month, you're improving.
That's right! So, to all our listeners, keep practicing, stay confident, and enjoy the journey of learning English. You've got this.
Yes, and if you found this podcast helpful, make sure to keep practicing with our other episodes.
We'll see you next time. Until then, keep learning and keep speaking. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the English Learning Podcast. I'm Jason, and today we have an exciting topic that can change the way you learn English forever.
That's right, Jason. So many English learners spend years studying grammar, memorizing vocabulary, and doing exercises, but when it's time to speak, they freeze.
Exactly. And that's why today's episode is called Stop Studying, Start Speaking. If you've been stuck in the cycle of learning but not using English, this episode is for you.
We'll be sharing practical tips, real-life examples, and easy strategies to help you stop overthinking and start speaking English with confidence.
So, if you're ready to break free from the old way of learning and finally start speaking fluently, stay with us until the end.
Let's get started.
All right, Julia, let's get straight to it. Many English learners spend years studying grammar books, memorizing vocabulary lists, and watching lessons. But when they need to speak, they struggle. Why does this happen?
That's a great question, Jason. The truth is, studying alone is not enough. Reading and writing are helpful, but speaking is a completely different skill. It's like learning to swim by reading a book. You won't really learn until you jump into the water.
Exactly. And I think many learners fall into this trap because they believe that if they just study more, one day they will suddenly be able to speak fluently. But that's not how it works.
Yes, fluency doesn't come from just learning. It comes from using the language in real conversations. You can memorize thousands of words, but if you never practice speaking, you won't be able to use them naturally.
That's so true. Let me give an example. Imagine two people want to learn how to play the guitar. One person studies music theory, watches videos, and reads books about playing guitar. The other person picks up the guitar and starts playing every day, even if they make mistakes. Who do you think will be better at playing the guitar?
Obviously, the person who actually plays the guitar. And it's the same with English. The more you speak, the faster you improve. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to start.
Yes. So if you're someone who has been studying English for years but still struggles to speak, don't worry. It just means you need to shift your focus. Instead of only studying, start practicing speaking every single day.
And don't be afraid of making mistakes. Mistakes are part of the learning process. In fact, the more mistakes you make, the more you learn.
That's a great point, Julia. Now that we understand why studying alone isn't enough, let's talk about something very important: the fear of speaking and how to overcome it. Now, Julia, let's talk about something that stops so many English learners from speaking: fear. Have you ever heard learners say things like, "I'm afraid I'll make mistakes," or "What if people laugh at me?"
Oh, all the time, Jason. Many learners feel nervous, shy, or even embarrassed when they try to speak English. They worry about their grammar, pronunciation, or that people won't understand them.
And you know what? That fear is completely normal. Learning a new language is like stepping out of your comfort zone. But here's the secret: everyone makes mistakes when learning. Even native speakers make mistakes sometimes.
That's so true. The problem is many learners think they need to be perfect before they can speak. But perfection is not the goal communication is. Even if you make mistakes, as long as people understand you, that's what really matters.
Exactly. And here's a little exercise for our listeners. Think about a time when you met someone who spoke your native language but wasn't perfect. Did you laugh at them, or did you appreciate their effort?
Most people appreciate the effort. No one expects you to be perfect. So the first step to overcoming fear is to accept that mistakes are normal. Instead of thinking, "What if I make a mistake?" Think, "Every mistake helps me improve."
Great mindset shift. And another way to overcome fear is to start small. You don't have to give a big speech in English right away. Just start with simple sentences. Talk to yourself in English, practice with a friend, or even speak in front of a mirror.
Yes, and one of my favorite methods is called shadowing. You listen to a native speaker and try to repeat what they say, word for word. It helps you get used to speaking without overthinking.
That's a fantastic tip, Julia. So, to all our listeners, don't let fear stop you. The more you practice speaking, the more confident you'll become.
Absolutely. Now that we've talked about fear, let's move on to something very important: how to start speaking from day one.
All right, Julia. Now that we've talked about overcoming fear, let's move to an important question. How can learners start speaking English from day one?
Great question, Jason. Many people think they need to wait until they know enough before they start speaking. But the truth is, you should start speaking from day one, no matter how little you know.
That's right. And the best way to do that is to use the words and phrases you already know instead of waiting to learn more.
Exactly. Let's give our listeners some simple ways to start speaking immediately. The first method is talking to yourself in English. You don't need a partner, just describe what you're doing, how you feel, or what you see around you.
Yes. For example, if you're making coffee, say, I am making coffee. The water is boiling. Now I will add sugar. It's a great way to get comfortable forming sentences in English.
Another powerful technique is shadowing. This means listening to a native speaker and repeating what they say word for word, without stopping.
That's a fantastic tip. You can do this with podcasts, movies, or even YouTube videos. Just pick a short sentence, listen, pause, and repeat. This helps with pronunciation and fluency.
Absolutely. And here's another tip: use simple English. Don't try to make long, complicated sentences in the beginning. Just focus on communicating your ideas in a clear way.
Yes. For example, instead of saying, I would like to express my gratitude for this wonderful meal, just say, thank you for the food. Keep it simple.
That's a great example. And finally, speak with real people as soon as possible. You can join an online English group, find a language partner, or even talk to strangers in English-friendly environments like tourist areas.
Yes, there are so many ways to practice speaking today. No excuses. The key is to start small and be consistent.
Exactly. So if you're listening to this podcast, promise yourself one thing. Today, you will say something in English out loud, even if it's just a few words.
That's the spirit. Now, speaking every day is important. But how can learners make sure they stay consistent? Let's talk about the power of daily conversations in the next section. So, Julia, we've talked about starting to speak from day one. But here's the big question. How can learners stay consistent? How can they keep practicing every day?
Great question, Jason. The best way to improve speaking skills is through daily conversations. Speaking once in a while won't help much. But if you make it a daily habit, you'll see big improvements.
That's so true. And the good news is, you don't need hours of practice. Even just 5 to 10 minutes a day can make a huge difference.
Exactly. And daily conversations don't have to be with native speakers. You can talk to a friend who is also learning English, join an online speaking group, or even talk to yourself.
Yes. And speaking of online groups, there are so many language exchange apps where learners can find a partner and practice English for free.
That's right. Apps like Tandem, HelloTalk, or even Facebook groups have communities where you can find speaking partners. And the best part? You're learning from real conversations, not just from a textbook.
Exactly. And let's not forget about voice messages. If you're too shy for a live conversation, start by sending voice messages to friends or language partners. That way, you can practice speaking without too much pressure.
That's a fantastic tip, Jason. And here's another idea: set a daily speaking goal. For example, say at least 5 sentences in English every day, or have a short conversation with one person daily.
Yes, the key is to stay consistent. If you practice speaking every day, even for a few minutes, you will improve faster than someone who only studies grammar and vocabulary.
Absolutely. So, to all our listeners, challenge yourself. Start speaking every day. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just do it.
That's the mindset. Now, speaking daily is great, but many learners struggle with building confidence. So, let's talk about that next: how to build confidence when speaking English. All right, Julia, we've talked about the importance of daily conversations, but many learners struggle with this question: how do I find someone to practice speaking with?
That's a great point, Jason. A lot of people want to practice, but they don't know where to start. The good news is, there are so many ways to find speaking partners today.
Absolutely. And let's start with the easiest option: friends and family. If you have someone around you who speaks English or is also learning, start practicing with them.
Yes, even if they are not fluent, just having simple conversations in English can help you gain confidence. But if you don't have anyone around you, don't worry. There are many online options.
That's right. One great way is language exchange apps. Apps like HelloTalk, Tandem, and Speaky connect you with native speakers and other learners who want to practice English.
Yes, and many of these apps work like a chat system, so you can send text messages, voice messages, or even do video calls with your partner.
Another amazing way to find speaking partners is joining online communities. Facebook groups, Reddit forums, and Discord servers have thousands of English learners looking for partners.
That's a great idea. And if you prefer structured learning, you can also join speaking clubs or conversation classes on platforms like Meetup, Italki, or even local language schools.
Yes, many online platforms offer group conversations or one-on-one speaking sessions, so you can practice in a comfortable environment.
And here's a tip. Be proactive. Don't just wait for someone to invite you to a conversation. Send a message, introduce yourself, and ask if they'd like to practice together.
That's so important. Many learners are shy at first, but remember, most people in these groups or apps want to practice, just like you.
Exactly. So, to all our listeners, don't wait. Start looking for a speaking partner today. Whether it's a friend, an online buddy, or a conversation group, the key is to just start speaking.
That's the mindset. Now, once you have a speaking partner, what should you talk about? In the next section, we'll share fun and effective conversation topics for English learners. All right, Julia, here's a big challenge for many English learners. They keep translating everything from their native language into English before speaking. Why is that a problem?
That's a great question, Jason. When you translate in your head, it slows you down and makes speaking feel difficult. Languages don't always have direct translations, so sentences might sound unnatural.
Exactly. That's why it's so important to train your brain to think in English instead of translating.
Yes, and the good news is anyone can do it with the right practice. Let's share some easy tips to start thinking in English.
Great idea. First, start with simple words and phrases. When you see a chair, don't think of the word in your language first. Just say chair in your mind.
That's a great tip. And another way to practice is by describing what's around you in English. For example, if you're walking outside, think, "The sky is blue. The sun is shining. I feel happy today."
I love that. It's like making English part of your daily life. Another tip is using an English-only dictionary. Instead of translating words, try to understand their meaning using simple English explanations.
Yes, and my favorite method, speak your thoughts out loud. Even if you're alone, try to say what you're thinking in English. It helps your brain get used to forming sentences naturally.
That's a fantastic idea. The key is to practice thinking in English every day. It may feel difficult at first, but over time, it becomes natural.
Exactly. So, to our listeners, start small, be consistent, and soon you'll find yourself thinking and speaking in English much faster.
That's the goal. Now, let's move on to our next topic, how to stay motivated when learning English. All right, Julia. Here's something that stops a lot of English learners from speaking. They're afraid of making mistakes. Have you seen this happen?
Oh, all the time, Jason. Many learners feel embarrassed when they make mistakes, so they stay silent. But here's the truth, mistakes are actually good.
That's right. Making mistakes means you're learning and improving. Nobody speaks a new language perfectly from day one.
Exactly. Even native speakers make mistakes sometimes. The important thing is to keep speaking and learning from your mistakes.
Yes, and here's a great tip: change your mindset. Instead of thinking, oh no, I made a mistake, think, great, I just learned something new.
That's such a powerful shift. Another tip is to listen to feedback with an open mind. If someone corrects you, don't feel bad. Feel grateful. It means you're improving.
Absolutely. And the best way to overcome the fear of mistakes is to practice more. The more you speak, the more confident you become.
Yes, so to all our listeners, don't be afraid to make mistakes. Keep speaking, keep learning, and you'll improve faster than you ever imagined.
That's the spirit. Now, let's move on to our next topic: how to create a simple daily routine for learning English. Wow, Julia! We've covered so many important points today. Stop studying too much. Start speaking. Find partners. Think in English. And most importantly, don't be afraid of mistakes.
Yes, and to all our listeners, remember you don't need to be perfect to speak English. You just need to start.
That's right. Take action today. Find a speaking partner. Practice thinking in English. And most importantly, speak every day. Even a few minutes will help you improve.
And don't wait for the perfect moment. Start right now. If you've been listening to this podcast, say something in English after we finish. Just one sentence. That's your first step.
We believe in you. Keep practicing, stay confident, and enjoy the journey of learning English.
And if you found this podcast helpful, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share it with your friends. Let's help more people start speaking English with confidence.
Yes, thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you in the next episode. Keep speaking, keep learning, and have fun. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the English Learning Podcast. I'm your host, Jason, and today we're diving into a fascinating and often overlooked topic that can transform the way you communicate in English. It's all about body language, how you move, gesture, and express yourself without saying a word.
Hi, everyone. I'm Julia, your co-host, and I couldn't agree more, Jason. Body language is such an important part of communication, and for English learners, it can make a huge difference in how confident and clear you come across. Sometimes, even if your words aren't perfect, your body language can help convey exactly what you mean.
Exactly, Julia. Research shows that a significant part of communication is nonverbal. Some even say it's over 70%. That's why mastering body language isn't just for actors or public speakers. It's for anyone who wants to connect and communicate effectively.
And what's great is that you don't need to be fluent in English to start using positive body language. It's something you can practice and improve alongside your language skills. Plus, it helps you feel more confident when speaking, which we know is a big challenge for many learners.
In today's episode, we'll cover everything from what body language is to common mistakes English learners make, and we'll give you practical tips to improve your body language and boost your communication skills.
That's right. By the end of this episode, you'll have a whole new set of tools to express yourself and connect with others in English. Not just with words, but with how you present yourself.
So, let's get started. First, let's talk about what body language actually is and why it's such an important part of communication. All right, let's start with the basics. So, what is body language? Essentially, body language is the way we communicate without words. It includes gestures, facial expressions, posture, eye contact, and even how we move or position ourselves when we're talking.
Exactly, Jason. It's like the silent partner in every conversation. Even when you're not saying anything, your body is still talking. For example, a simple smile can show friendliness, while crossing your arms might make you look defensive or closed off.
That's a great point, Julia. And here's something interesting. Body language can actually change how people perceive your message. Imagine you're telling someone you're happy, but your face looks serious and your arms are crossed. Your body language is sending a completely different message from your words.
Right. That's why it's so important for English learners to understand this. If your body language matches your words, you'll seem more confident and believable. On the other hand, if your body language is off, people might get confused or even misunderstand you.
And body language isn't just about how others see you, it's also about how you feel. For example, standing up straight and making eye contact can actually make you feel more confident, even if you're nervous. It's like a little confidence hack.
Absolutely. And body language varies a lot depending on culture, which makes it even more interesting. In some cultures, direct eye contact is a sign of confidence, but in others, it might be seen as rude. For English learners, understanding these differences can help you adapt and communicate more effectively.
Great point, Julia. For instance, in English-speaking countries, things like a firm handshake or maintaining eye contact during a conversation are often seen as signs of confidence and respect. But for someone from a different background, these might feel unfamiliar or even uncomfortable at first.
That's true, Jason. And here's the good news. Improving your body language is something you can practice, just like learning new English words or grammar rules. Once you're aware of how body language works, you can start using it to your advantage.
Exactly. And this is what makes body language such an important part of learning English. It helps bridge the gap between the words you're learning and the message you're trying to convey.
So, to sum it up, body language is all about using your face, hands, and movements to communicate effectively. When you combine good body language with your English skills, you'll feel more confident, and people will understand you better.
All right. Now that we know what body language is, let's talk about some common mistakes English learners make and how to avoid them. Now that we've covered what body language is, let's dive into some common mistakes English learners make when it comes to body language. Julia, why don't you start us off?
Sure, Jason. One of the most common mistakes I've noticed is avoiding eye contact. Many learners feel nervous when speaking English, so they tend to look down or away when talking. But in many English-speaking cultures, avoiding eye contact can make you seem unsure or even uninterested.
That's so true, Julia. Eye contact is like a silent way of saying, I'm confident and engaged. But I understand it can feel intimidating. What's a simple tip for improving this?
Start small. If direct eye contact feels too intense, try looking between the person's eyes or at their eyebrows. It gives the same impression without feeling overwhelming.
Great advice. Another common mistake is fidgeting too much. When learners are nervous, they might tap their fingers, play with their hair, or shift their weight from one foot to the other. These small actions can make you look distracted or anxious.
Exactly, Jason. Instead of fidgeting, try keeping your hands steady or using them for purposeful gestures. For example, using open hand movements can make you seem more approachable and confident.
Speaking of hand gestures, here's another mistake: overusing or misusing gestures. Some learners use big, dramatic gestures for every word, which can be distracting. Others might use gestures that are normal in their culture, but have a completely different meaning in English-speaking cultures.
Right. For instance, a thumbs up might mean something positive in one culture, but it could be offensive in another. The key is to use gestures naturally and in moderation, just enough to emphasize your words without overdoing it.
Good point, Julia. Another mistake I've seen is poor posture. Slouching or hunching over can make you look uninterested or lacking confidence, even if you're saying something important.
Yes, posture is so important. Standing or sitting up straight not only makes you look more confident, but it also helps your voice sound clearer and stronger. Plus, it shows that you're taking the conversation seriously.
Another big one is smiling too little or too much. Smiling is a universal way to show friendliness, but some learners either forget to smile because they're too focused on their words, or they smile constantly, which can seem unnatural.
That's true, Jason. A good rule of thumb is to smile when you're greeting someone, when you're listening, and when the situation calls for it. But don't force it. Let it come naturally.
Here's a subtle mistake that often goes unnoticed: standing too close or too far away. In English-speaking countries, there's usually a comfortable space between people during a conversation. Standing too close can feel invasive, while standing too far away can seem distant or disinterested.
Absolutely. A good guideline is to keep about an arm's length between you and the person you're speaking to. If you're not sure, just observe how others do it and follow their lead.
Another mistake learners make is not matching their facial expressions to their words. For example, saying, "I'm so happy to meet you," with a blank face can send mixed signals.
Yes, Jason. Your facial expressions should match the emotion behind your words. If you're excited, let your face show it. Practice in front of a mirror if it doesn't feel natural at first.
Finally, let's talk about crossed arms. This one is tricky because crossing your arms might just feel comfortable, but it can make you seem closed off or defensive in many cultures.
That's true. Instead, try keeping your arms relaxed at your sides or using open gestures to appear more welcoming and engaged.
So, to recap, the most common body language mistakes English learners make are avoiding eye contact, fidgeting, overusing gestures, poor posture, smiling inappropriately, standing at the wrong distance, mismatched facial expressions, and crossing arms.
And the best part? All of these can be improved with practice and awareness. Now let's move on to something more positive: how to use body language effectively to improve your English communication.
All right, now let's get into the practical stuff. How to use body language to improve your English communication. Julia, why is body language such a powerful tool for English learners?
Well, Jason, body language helps reinforce your message and makes your communication more engaging. Even if your vocabulary or grammar isn't perfect, strong body language can help you express your ideas clearly and confidently. It's like having a secret weapon to fill in the gaps in your language skills.
Absolutely. Let's break it down into some key strategies. First, let's talk about eye contact. We've already mentioned how important it is, but how can learners practice it?
A simple way to practice is by looking at yourself in the mirror while speaking. Imagine you're having a conversation with someone and try to maintain steady eye contact with your reflection. Another great method is practicing with a friend or even recording yourself speaking and checking how often you look directly at the camera.
That's great advice. Now, let's move on to gestures. Using your hands can make your speech more dynamic and help emphasize key points. But how can learners use gestures effectively without overdoing it?
Start small. Use open, natural hand movements that match the tone of what you're saying. For example, if you're explaining something big, you can spread your arms wide. If you're listing points, use your fingers to count. Just make sure your gestures feel purposeful, not random.
Another strategy is focusing on your posture. Standing or sitting up straight not only makes you look confident, but also helps your voice project better. Here's a quick tip. Imagine there's a string pulling you up from the top of your head.
I love that visualization, Jason. Good posture also shows that you're engaged in the conversation. If you're slouching or leaning too much, it can signal that you're bored or unsure.
Now, let's talk about facial expressions. Julia, how can learners ensure their face reflects what they're saying?
It's all about being aware of your emotions and letting them show naturally. For example, if you're happy, smile. If you're surprised, Raise your eyebrows. You can practice by recording yourself reading a script or telling a story and checking if your expressions match your words.
That's a great tip. Another key element is mirroring. This means subtly copying the other person's body language to build rapport. How can learners use this technique?
Mirroring is simple. If the person you're speaking with leans slightly forward, you can do the same. If they use open hand gestures, you can mirror that too. Just be subtle so it feels natural, not forced.
Let's not forget about smiling. A genuine smile can instantly make you more approachable and create a positive connection. Julia, how can learners practice smiling naturally during conversations?
Try smiling when you say hello or introduce yourself. You can also practice smiling while speaking in front of a mirror. It might feel awkward at first, but over time it'll become a natural part of your communication.
Another important point is movement. Standing still can make you seem stiff, while moving too much can be distracting. What's a good balance, Julia?
Think of movement as a way to support your words. For example, take a small step forward when you're making an important point, or lean slightly back to show you're considering something. Keep your movements controlled and intentional.
Great! And let's touch on personal space. Maintaining the right distance can make your conversation more comfortable. What's a good rule of thumb for English learners?
Generally, an arm's length is a good starting point, but it depends on the situation and the person. If you're unsure, observe how others position themselves in similar settings and adjust accordingly.
Lastly, let's talk about using body language for storytelling. This is especially helpful in group settings or presentations. Julia, how can learners make their stories more engaging with body language?
Use your gestures to paint a picture. For example, if you're talking about a big idea, spread your arms wide. If you're describing something small, pinch your fingers together. Changing your tone and adding expressions can also bring your story to life.
So, to recap, you can use eye contact, gestures, posture, facial expressions, mirroring, smiling, purposeful movement, and storytelling techniques to enhance your communication. Practice these daily, and you'll see a big improvement.
Absolutely. Body language is such a powerful tool, and when you combine it with your growing English skills, you'll become a confident and effective communicator.
All right, let's wrap things up with some tips on how to practice body language daily. Stick with us. Now that we've covered how to use body language effectively, let's talk about practical ways to improve it. Julia, do you have any go-to exercises that learners can try to enhance their body language skills?
Absolutely, Jason. Let's start with one of my favorites, the mirror exercise. Stand in front of a mirror and practice speaking aloud for a few minutes. Pay attention to your facial expressions, gestures, and posture. This helps you see how others perceive you and makes you more aware of your body language.
That's a great one, Julia. Another powerful exercise is video recording. Set up your phone or camera and record yourself having a conversation or giving a short speech in English. Watch the video to analyze your body language. Are your gestures natural? Is your posture confident? Are you smiling enough?
I love that idea, Jason. Watching yourself on video can be eye-opening. Here's another exercise. Practice purposeful gestures. Pick a few simple gestures like pointing when making a strong point or using open hands to emphasize an idea. Practice these while speaking so they feel natural when you use them in real conversations.
That's such a practical tip. Another useful exercise is role-playing. Find a friend or language partner and role-play common situations, like introducing yourself or asking for directions. Focus on maintaining eye contact, smiling, and using appropriate gestures during the interaction.
Yes, role-playing is fantastic for building confidence. Here's one more. Posture drills. Stand with your back against a wall for a minute to feel what good posture is like. Then try to maintain that posture while speaking. This helps you project confidence and clarity.
That's a great one, Julia. And let's not forget about practicing eye contact. You can practice this even when you're not speaking. For example, when you're watching TV or videos, try to mimic the eye contact of the speakers. Or, when you're in a conversation, focus on looking into the other person's eyes for a few seconds at a time.
Definitely. Eye contact takes practice, but it makes such a difference. Here's a fun one. Body language charades. Practice expressing emotions or ideas using only your gestures and expressions. For example, try showing excited, confused, or curious without speaking. This helps you become more expressive and creative with your body language.
That sounds like a lot of fun, Julia. And for our listeners who want to refine their movement, I'd suggest walking exercises. Walk around a room while imagining you're presenting to an audience. Practice controlled, purposeful movements, like stepping forward when making a point or gesturing smoothly.
Such a great idea. One last exercise I'd recommend is feedback practice. Ask a friend, teacher, or family member to watch you speak and give feedback on your body language. Sometimes others notice things that we might not realize ourselves.
That's an excellent suggestion, Julia. Feedback helps you fine-tune your body language and become more confident. So, to summarize, you can enhance your body language skills with exercises like using a mirror, video recording, purposeful gestures, role-playing, posture drills, practicing eye contact, charades, walking exercises, and seeking feedback.
Exactly. The key is consistency. Just like learning English, improving your body language takes practice and time, but the results are so worth it.
Absolutely. With these exercises, you'll not only become a better communicator but also feel more confident in your English conversations.
All right, Jason, let's wrap things up with some final tips for combining body language and English skills.
Julia, we've talked a lot about how to use body language effectively, but let's take a step back. Why does body language matter so much when it comes to speaking English confidently?
That's a great question, Jason. Body language is like the unspoken part of communication. Research shows that over half of our communication is nonverbal, which means things like gestures, posture, and facial expressions are just as important as the words we say.
Exactly. When you combine strong body language with your spoken English, you appear more confident and engaging. And confidence plays a huge role in how others perceive your communication skills.
Right, Jason. Plus, when you use confident body language, you actually start to feel more confident yourself. For example, standing tall with open gestures can trick your brain into feeling less nervous, even if you're a little anxious about speaking English.
I love that point, Julia. Body language can also make up for any gaps in your language skills. If you're struggling to find the right word or phrase, your gestures and expressions can help convey your message.
Exactly, Jason. Let's not forget about the role body language plays in building connections. When you smile, maintain eye contact, or use open gestures, you create a sense of trust and approachability. This is especially important in conversations where English might not be your first language.
Great point. It's not just about looking confident, it's about making the person you're speaking with feel comfortable too. And when both people are at ease, the conversation flows much more naturally.
That's so true, Jason. Body language also helps you stand out in group settings. Imagine giving a presentation or answering a question in class. If your body language shows confidence, even if your English isn't perfect, people are more likely to focus on your message.
Absolutely, Julia. To sum it up, body language matters because it reinforces your words, boosts your confidence, builds trust and helps you connect with others. It's an essential tool for any English learner who wants to communicate effectively.
Well said, Jason. When you align your body language with your spoken English, you're sending a clear, confident, and powerful message. And that's something every English learner should aim for.
Couldn't agree more, Julia. All right, up next, let's share some tips for putting everything we've discussed into practice. Stay tuned. Now, before we wrap up today's podcast, let's take a few questions from our listeners. Julia, I've got the first one here. It's from Maria in Brazil. She asks, I get very nervous when speaking English in front of others, and I feel my body language becomes awkward. What can I do to fix this?
Great question, Maria. First, know that feeling nervous is completely normal. One tip is to start small. Practice speaking English in front of a mirror or with a trusted friend. Pay attention to your posture and gestures. Also, try taking a few deep breaths before you speak. It helps relax your body and mind. The more you practice, the more natural your body language will become.
That's great advice, Julia. I have another question here from Ahmed in Egypt. He says, I find it hard to maintain eye contact when speaking in English. What should I do?
Ahmed, you're not alone. Many people struggle with this. Start by practicing eye contact in low-pressure situations, like with friends or family. A good trick is to look at the person's forehead or the space between their eyes if direct eye contact feels too intense. With practice, maintaining eye contact will become easier.
That's such a practical tip. Here's another question from Priya in India. She asks, what gestures should I avoid when speaking in English?
Great question, Priya. Avoid crossing your arms, which can make you look closed off. Also, try not to fidget or use repetitive movements like tapping your foot or playing with your hair, as they can be distracting. Finally, keep your gestures natural. Don't overdo it, or it might seem forced.
Good points, Julia. And remember, listeners, the key is to be aware of your body language, but not to stress over it. It's all about practice and making gradual improvements.
Exactly, Jason. And for those of you who sent in questions we didn't get to, we'll try to answer them in future episodes. Keep them coming.
Yes, we love hearing from you. All right, Julia, let's move on to the conclusion and wrap up today's podcast. All right, Julia, what a fantastic conversation we've had today about body language for English learners. Let's quickly recap what we covered.
Sure, Jason. We started by discussing what body language is and why it's so important for confident communication in English. Then we explored common body language mistakes and how to avoid them.
That's right. We also shared practical tips for using body language to enhance English communication and went over specific exercises to help listeners improve their nonverbal skills.
And we answered some great questions from our listeners about how to tackle challenges like nervousness, maintaining eye contact, and avoiding distracting gestures.
Exactly. Now, for our listeners, here's your challenge. This week, try one of the exercises we discussed, maybe the mirror exercise or practicing eye contact, and see how it affects your confidence when speaking English.
Yes. And remember, improving your body language takes practice, just like learning English. But with consistent effort, you'll see results.
If you found today's podcast helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. And we'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below sharing your favorite tip or any questions you have about body language or learning English.
And if you want more tips and lessons, be sure to check out our other podcasts in the playlist. We're here to help you on your English learning journey.
Thanks so much for listening, everyone. Until next time, keep practicing, stay confident, and remember, your body speaks as loudly as your words.
See you next time.